Yes, hello everyone. This is Ashmita from Saurabh's classes, and in today's class, what we are going to do is that we are going to solve certain questions from this year's question paper of UPSC IAS Paper 1. Now, in our previous videos, we have already discussed a lot many times that we are going to solve 5 questions in each class. Otherwise, the discussions would become very elaborate, which would like bore you, and it would like put too much of pressure on your mind. So let's solve 5 questions in each class, and so that you can also get an idea of how to solve these questions and what questions can come and from which fields all these can come. So these are from the preliminary section, that is paper 1. We are talking about UPSC paper 1, the general studies paper. All right. This is from the 2022 paper. Like, we are going to solve from number 76 to 80. All right. So we don't till now we don't know from which fields have these 5 questions come from. So let's go through these questions, and then we can just determine at last from which sections did we get. Did we come across these kind of questions? Okay. Let's start with question number 76, which says, with reference to the United Nations Credentials Committee, consider the following statements. The statements are given over here. You can see it is a committee which is set up by the UN Security Council and works under its supervision. Number 2 says it traditionally meets in March, June, and September every year. Number 3 says it assesses the credentials of all the UN members before submitting a report to the General Assembly for approval. Now, the main question over here is that which of the statements given above is or are correct. So we need to consider from these 3 statements which of these are correct. All right. Now over here, sentence number 1 is incorrect. All right. Sentence number 1 is incorrect. It's because you see the United Nations Credentials Committee is a committee of the United Nations General Assembly. All right. So that is why it's incorrect. What about number 2? Number 2 is also incorrect. Why? Because a credentials committee is basically appointed at the beginning of each regular session of the General Assembly. What about number 3? Now, number 3 is correct. Why? Because its main purpose is to report the assembly regarding the credentials of the body's representatives. So definitely this number 3 one is correct. So your correct answer would be number A, that is 3 only. Let's move over to the next question for today's class. Question number 77 says, which one of the following statements best describes the polar code? They're asking about the polar code. Now polar code is basically now your correct answer is it is the International Code of Safety for ships operating in the polar waters. All right. So your correct answer is number A. Why so? Because polar code is international code for ships operating in the polar waters, and the polar code covers the full range of design, then construction, then equipment, then operational, training, search and rescue and environmental protection matters which are relevant to the ships which are operating in the inhospitable waters, like which are surrounding the 2 ports. So that's your correct answer. Let's move over to the next question now. Now the next question says, that is question number 78 says, with reference to the United Nations General Assembly, consider the following statements. Now the first one says, the UN General Assembly can grant observer status to the non-member states. Yeah, over here, Why? Because the United Nations General Assembly may grant the non-member states, international organizations, and the other entities permanent observer states. Alright, so this one is correct. Number one is correct. Let's move over to number two. Now, number two, it says intergovernmental organizations can seek the observer status in the UN General Assembly. This one is also correct because you say General Assembly decided that observer status would be confined to states and intergovernmental organizations whose activities would cover the matters of interest in the would like cover the matters of interest to the assembly. Okay, so that's why we can consider this to be correct. What about number three? Number three is also correct because it says permanent observers in the UN General Assembly can maintain the missions at the UN headquarters. So this means that the permanent observers may participate in the sessions and the workings of the General Assembly, and then they can maintain the missions at the UN headquarters. So of course only three options are correct. So which one would you choose over here? Your correct option would be number D. Alright. Now let's move over to the next question. With reference to the tea board in India, consider the following statement. Statement number one says the tea board is a statutory body. Yes, it's definitely correct. Why? Because the Tea Board of India is an autonomous and statutory body which is created under the Tea Act of the year 1953. Tea Act of 1953. All right. Now, talking about the second one, it is a regulatory body which is attached to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. No, this is not correct. Moving over to number three, the Tea Board's head office is situated in Bengaluru. No, the Tea Board's head office is situated in Kolkata. All right, it's situated in Kolkata. What about number four? Number four says the board has overseas offices at Dubai and Moscow. Yes, that's correct. It has overseas offices. So your correct answer was number one and number four. Where can we find them? In number D. So your correct answer is number D. Now let's move over to the next question for today's class. That's the last one for today's class. This one says, which one of the following best describes the term greenwashing? Conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Yes, this one is correct. Why? Because greenwashing is the process of conveying a false impression or providing a misleading information about how a company's products are more environmentally sound. Like it is basically happening in nowadays because you see most of the products are marketed in a way that like are shown to be environmental friendly, but which is actually not the case. So greenwashing is like going on nowadays. Yes, and also let me tell you that greenwashing is considered an unsustainable and let me tell you that greenwashing is basically considered to be an unsubstantiated claim to deceive the consumers into believing that a company's products are environmental friendly. All right. So yeah, that's your answer. Number A is your correct answer, and the rest are wrong. So that's it for today's class. If you want to like prepare like this and solve questions like this, and also want to continue with this solving session, you can follow the other videos of our channel. We are going to provide you with all the question answers explanation as well as the correct answers. So that's it for today's class. We're going to meet once again in our next classes. And if you want the benefits of live lectures, recorded lectures, and the solutions to the previous year's question papers, unsolved paper solutions, and sample paper solutions, and scholarship facilities, crash course facilities, then you can definitely join Services classes. Here, the official website link would be www.servicesclasses.com. You will also get all the details in the description box just below this video, as well as you can post your queries in the comment box below so that we can just help you out with all your doubts. And that's it for today's class. We're going to meet once again in our next classes.